morning.
Good morning. Hey, Myra. Hey, Pamela.
Hello.
I'm having-
Pat is there. Yay.
I don't know. I don't do anything.
Your video is on. You are in the.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
You do. Okay. I hear Pat. I hear Pamela.
Yeah.
That's everyone who's here so far.
Well, that's good. My hearing is okay. Wouldn't want to hear people who,
There
If
are a
I'm
couple
hearing-
other things about you that are okay too, but
if
not
I was hearing things that weren't here, that would be really bad.
Oh, goodness.
Oh my God. What a winter it's been so far.
Well, it's a real winter,
Yeah.
which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I've been sort of sick since New Year's. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's going on?
Well, they finally decided I have pneumonia last week. Whether I do or not is up for question. But they put me on antibiotics. And
Is
so
it-
far, I'm better than I was. So let's
Okay.
put it that way.
Oh, geez,
I
Myra.
don't know. I've given them so much blood, I'm surprised they have any left.
I think the flu or whatever virus that's going around has really been extended for everyone. For me, it was all of December up into
wow.
mid-January that I was feeling ill and it just couldn't seem to shake it. And I
Oh, wow.
was coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing.
See, I
Jesus.
don't test positive for anything.
Well, that's good,
Yeah.
No, it isn't really, because they don't know why I'm sick.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true, but it's
Yeah.
not like COVID. It's not,
No, it's not
avian
COVID and it's
flu.
not any of those flus and it's not RSV. And it's not some of the cancers, though they haven't ruled them all out.
Oh, Jesus, Myra.
Yeah, so I don't know. But last week when I went to the ER at night, they said pneumonia. And I said, I'll take it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So you never come out of there thinking, gee, I'm so glad I have pneumonia. But
Ellis Lee has joined the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I understand. I understand.
yeah,
Uh,
it's been quite the month.
do you need
Elise
anything?
is there.
Do you need anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
2 people have joined the meeting.
2 people. That must be 2 people came in at the same time and they can't name them.
So it's Elise and Philip and Rob Moore who are here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Hi,
So we
sorry.
have Elise
Yes.
and me and nobody else on the committee.
No quorum?
Cool.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
Space.
So
Speech on demand.
You see how important you are, Elise?
oh, I know.
You're just, yeah.
I just, yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, guys.
no, it's fine. I didn't mean that the way it sounded.
I'm,
like I meant
yeah.
it. I
seems
actually
her-
didn't. I mean, I would be a lot more direct if I meant it.
That's
right.
true. You don't mince words,
No,
which I kind of like. I mean, it's kind of refreshing.
It is refreshing.
I'm a New Yorker. That's the way it is. As is Elise.
As is our president.
Oh, God. All right, I disavow my
yeah.
heritage.
New York heritage, right?
Yes.
Sharon was the only person who stated
That she wouldn't be here. That's
that
right.
she'd be late.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm looking at my email and I don't have any email from anyone else, but let's wait a minute. It's odd that Cody, Jim, and Ian are not here.
Strange. Yeah.
Well, this was the only time I didn't have trouble getting in, so maybe they do. You know, I passed it along.
Oh, Pamela,
Yes.
I finished the course. It's in 2 parts, which wasn't clear to me in the beginning. That's why I got certified twice.
Okay. Well, it's over with. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
it
the
wasn't. It
conflict
wasn't.
of interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were 2 things you had to finish, which one of
Yeah.
which was nothing and one of which took forever.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the sound stopped at one point.
Oh,
Yeah, I had to re-log in to get it back.
ooh.
Yeah, so I had some difficulty.
You
but
know,
it-
they should have a thing like some other places have, because you only have to do it every 2 years. They should let you put in your email address, and without a password, they should just send you an entry code. That, I
Exactly.
mean, there are some places that actually do that, because who would want to keep that to use once every 2 years?
Yeah.
Right?
And you have to create an account again. You have to make, do a
Yeah.
password. You have to do all that again.
So they should really just give you an entry code.
Yep. Yep. Well, I'm done with it, so
Yeah,
I can get rid of it. Yeah.
So it's 11:33. Let's
And
let's
Jim
maybe
has
wait
arrived.
until 11:35. We won't have a quorum, but the first two things on the agenda are really just informational anyway, so I don't think you need to have
Excuse me.
quorum to vote. You could
Okay.
hear from Rob and from Guilford.
okay. And I
But,
actually have a question too.
Well, you can ask questions, you just can't take
You
a
can't
vote.
vote on anything,
Right.
right?
So let's just wait one more minute because Jim just joined us and maybe we'll
Okay,
Ian and Cody in the next minute.
I'm not the only one drinking coffee.
I was playing spelling bee.
Ah,
I'm quite addicted to that game. Which is odd because in real life, I never did well in spelling bees, but that's not what this is. They just call it that.
ah. No, those games are addictive.
I was terrible at spelling bees. I always went out soon.
I spell phonetically. I still do.
Right.
We got someone else.
Yeah, Sam.
And Robert Moore.
So I've just sent an email to Ian and to Cody, and I'll read the opening.
Okay.
So pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so via Zoom or by telephone. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. And the first call of business is the roll call.
Okay. Myra Ross here. Elise Link is here and Jim Crednier is here.
Jim is here, yes, indeed.
Yay. Okay, we have 3, but we don't have a quorum. So we will have a meeting at which we can't vote. Hopefully the other people will come. Okay, so does anyone have any announcements? I guess under announcements, I could put this here, but it's a question for Guilford. Which really is about the Amherst College gift to the town, which was pretty cool. And it said there was money in it for sidewalks. Can you talk a little bit about how much that's really going to achieve per year and how you're going to prioritize which sidewalks?
So Myra, Guilford hasn't arrived yet. I know
Oh.
he intends to
Okay.
in attendance,
okay.
but he hasn't come into the meeting yet. But so we can hold that question. The first thing,
Okay.
old business, is Rob talking about the MO
Grant. Okay, please
application.
do, Rob. Thanks for coming.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can start with the MOD grant. I know Pamela did send me a few questions, maybe just general about our capital planning approach year to year and how
Yep.
accessibility improvements are incorporated in that. But the MOD grant, we did get the notice that we were awarded that grant for creating a improved entrance on the south side of the building that will connect. This is the Munson Library. That'll connect the Great Hall doorway to the front entry patio and walk. So the scope of work that is included in approximately $100,000 estimate, which was the grant award, includes renovation or alterations to the door, height, the threshold, the landing outside of the door, and then a walkway to connect around the front of the building. So we don't have, all the documents, all the agreement for that grant yet, but we did get the notice that we were awarded the funds, and as soon as we are given the go ahead, we'll put a request out for bids to contractors to get going on that, hopefully this summer.
I have a question. I thought that part of the plan involved a walkway to the parking area, to the road there that goes to the back of the church. Is that not right?
That's not right. No, the walkway will come out the doorway, the landing on the south side, and go west and then back to the north to connect to the
Whoops.
the walkway that leads to the on-street parking spaces, but not to the church's property.
Okay, all right, so that it's going to go to the walkway that leads to two handicap parking spaces in the front of the building, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, and they were gonna be van accessible spaces, right?
The spaces as they exist would remain. There isn't a proposal to alter anything in the street.
Oh, I thought we talked about that last year when we put in the proposal about making angled parking there or something. Okay, so there's not gonna be any access to van accessible spaces unless people unless people wheel out to the front of the building, make a left, go over to the parking lot and to the road, and then go to the back of the church.
Wow.
Is that
I
right?
believe so. Yeah, I think Guilford would probably be helpful if he was here because he probably knows what happens out in the street with the curb height there. I'm not positive if there's another way to approach the walkway other than what you just described, but that may be correct.
That's a whole lot of wheeling.
That's terrible.
Because when we discussed the proposal in the first place, it did have some parking modifications in the front of the library so that vans could be parked there. And I guess somehow this year that didn't get into the plan, and maybe it didn't get in there last year either, but we talked about it. So I am concerned. I mean, obviously the easiest thing to do would be for the town, once it's all done, to add a walkway from the new exit to the road that goes to the church. I mean, just because it wasn't budgeted for, it's like it's a piece of sidewalk.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. I don't have the plan in front of me that was submitted. I don't recall any work in the right of way, but I'll confirm that.
Okay, all right, because, I mean, it would be sort of odd to have an accessibility job without any accessible parking, van
Yeah.
accessible parking attached to it.
Mhm.
Jim, do you
Okay.
think that is a difficult thing for people to do? Leave the side of the Munson Library go over to the front, and then go to the sidewalk, then make a left, then go to that road and then make a left and go to the back of the church.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And then you also have the problem that, if you make one improvement for accessibility, but you basically make that improvement inaccessible, then you're in violation of the ADA. You really have to make sure that the improvements you make, are consistent and allow for the realization of the goal in the first place. But again, I can't remember our discussions around the plan. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it would be that big a deal, that much money, to go along the way you suggest, Myra. But again, that would involve, well, anyway, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
It would be a lot more work.
I think they need to do a better job with parking access.
I'm really surprised they approved it, actually, without any van accessible parking.
That's,
So the fact that they did approve it without the van accessible parking, we're gonna get a lot of the job done, and I think the town needs to supplement it somehow. I think it's much more difficult to create the van accessible spaces in the front of the library than it is to build a walkway that goes to the road on the side of the library. It's not that big a piece of grass. I mean, I don't really know how sloped it is. But I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I'll look into that further. What I haven't, I don't have anything that shows work or alteration to the parking spaces in the documents that I have. So I'm, as far as I know, it's not included at this time, but I will confirm that and make sure I didn't put together the application myself, but I'll make sure that I'm not missing something.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, can you talk to us about the plan for accessibility? At one point, there was some kind of a proposal or agreement, I'm not sure how far it got, to put maybe $50,000 a year aside in joint capital planning or in some other budget for accessibility work. And do you know if that remains a thing, or how funds for accessibility projects come about?
Yes, so that did start for a year or two, where one of the line items in our budget was specifically to address accessibility improvements. It has since been combined with other building, what is called all building interior and exterior maintenance and accessibility improvements. So the fund is combined. So just as an example, this year that we're currently in, that entire fund is $90,000 to do accessibility, interior and exterior improvements to all buildings. So it's a relatively small amount of money that gets spread out to deal with a variety of issues in interior and exterior building, including accessibility. Just an example of something that some of those funds were used for recently: the Bangs West entrance enclosure, the glass enclosure door operators were all replaced. I believe off the top of my head, that was maybe a $25,000 project that our facilities manager completed. And that's an example of how those funds are used. Otherwise, each project is specifically identified in the capital plan. And, our total capital award this year in our current fiscal year was a little over $800,000. And 500,000 of that is committed to roof repair. So we're prioritizing based on the needs of the buildings, starting with roofs and exterior envelopes, and moving into weatherization, and HVAC is likely another priority. And then, then there's accessibility improvements. Currently, what we're working on for the bangs is a larger project that was just actually introduced to the council last night. That does include removing all of the accessibility issues and bringing full compliance to the building, as it's been, identified in our recent ADA survey and analysis of the building. There's a cost estimate of just under $500,000 to do all the work that's necessary for that building. Some of it's being done in-house, some of it's being done as part of that project, and then there's 1 or 2 variance requests that'll be filed if that project moves forward. So that's about the extent of specific accessibility projects that are currently being worked on.
Excuse me, I wanted to let you know Cody has come to the meeting, joined the
Oh,
meeting.
fabulous. Thank you, Pat.
So
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Rob? Excuse me. I do. Given the earlier conversation, if there isn't anything for handicap parking for van accessible parking in the plan, I think that that walkway needs to be included in the proposal, because as Jim said, if we don't have a compliant project when it's all done, even though the state funded it, I think it could be a problem, because if there's no way to get to van accessible parking in a reasonable way, it's not an accessible project. So that's something that needs to be put on the list. If it's not in the plan, I'm hoping that you don't remember it well. That would be
Okay.
really good.
Understood.
So, if there are projects that people on this committee think need to be considered, what's the process? To whom do we write, by when? Like, we need to understand how and when things are achieved.
Yeah, so right now is actually the time that we're developing our next capital request. And just to give you, what our strategy going forward is, I'm not sure if it'll be supported, is to provide a little bit more flexibility with the funds we're given, so that we're not locked into certain projects and can pivot from one thing to another when it makes sense to do so. As an example of that, I'd like to move forward. I've talked with this group about the accessibility improvements for town hall. When I have some funding available to do some design work and do some cost estimates, then we're able to put into the capital plan a request to actually construct it or do a project. But without having that specifically identified, it makes it difficult to get money unless there's some grant opportunity, and there hasn't been yet.
Are you saying that money would also have to come out of this $800,000 pot?
It would, right, because I haven't identified a funding source for design or pre-development money. I did make a request for CDBG funds and was told that it didn't qualify to design the improvements that are needed at Town Hall. So we're likely going to be using capital money to do that design work. But back to your question, this is the time of the year where we're putting together that plan for the next capital fund and identifying the projects, or hopefully the array of types of projects that will that the funding could be used. There's no shortage of work that's needed in our buildings, as you can imagine. We're just completing a very comprehensive facilities conditions assessment project of 12 of our buildings. that's going to give, really a good picture of what the conditions are, what the priorities are, and that will help inform our next 5-year, 10-year, 15-year capital improvement plan. The need is far more than what funding would ever be available without borrowing. So those are the conversations we're going to be having going forward after this year. But for this particular request, we're selecting projects, mainly roofs that are needed, that are very high dollar item projects, and hoping to supplement some grant opportunities with capital funding for HVAC improvements at a couple of our locations. That's going to cover the bulk of whatever we are awarded in the capital plan.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments?
So Myra, I'm just gonna note that Guilford has joined us and he has to leave by 12:30, so he's
Okay.
next on the agenda and then Sam
All
is
right.
following him.
Well, thank you for the information. We will talk about this. Thanks, Rob, very much for coming. And if you can get to Pamela and tell her about the plan, including the parking, that would be really helpful to us.
I will. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Guilford. Are you there? You might be
It was
muted.
fake news.
Hey,
Wait. Jim, say that again, please.
Yeah, I said it was fake news that he's here.
Oh,
Oh,
Are you
there he
here?
is. There he is.
I think I see him. Oh,
He is here and he's
He's here.
unmuted. So
yay.
Go ahead,
Hello.
Guilford.
Okay. Hi, Guilford.
He's here.
Welcome to the meeting. We had an additional question. You want to talk a little bit about where we are with Southeast Street, but we had we had some other questions too. And my question actually had to do with the new money from Amherst College that's devoted to sidewalks. And I wanted to know how much of it, and if you have a plan for specifically what you want to do with it and what the plan for sidewalks is for this year.
So the money from Amherst College, I know exactly the same thing you know about the money from Amherst College. It was in the paper. They're giving money for downtown improvements. I haven't been told to do anything with it, and I haven't been asked what I want to do with it. So the Amherst College money is Amherst. I don't know. So that's the answer to that one.
Pat, do you
Sidewalk.
know anything about it?
I think it was just an announcement and I don't think any of us have gotten any
Oh,
details.
okay. Okay.
So
right,
we're
Guilford.
all waiting.
Okay. Guilford, go on with what you were going to talk about then.
So sidewalk work this year, actually, got we let me pull up the list. Sorry.
Excuse me.
So on the sidewalk list, we're going to finish the work on West Street, which we started with the bus. They're doing the bus pull-offs and the crosswalks on West Street at Potwine.
Mhm.
We have an ADA project at Mill River, which we have to permit, but that's their next project they have to do.
Does that have to do with the walkway and the pavilion?
It has to do with the walkway between the pool and the pavilion, yes.
Okay.
If if we run into permitting problems because it's actually in the riverfront, we may have to cut some of it back, but we can at least get most of the walkway done. The parking may actually get left out of the work because it's in the riverfront, but hopefully it won't. North Whitney Street, we have about 100 feet of new sidewalk we're putting in on North Whitney Street to tie in with one of the trails there. West Street sidewalk.
Wait, where are you doing that? Up by the Skilling's path?
Yep,
Okay, so you're replacing sidewalk or adding?
it's a new piece of sidewalk to connect Skilling's path to the existing sidewalk.
Okay.
It's North Whitney. West Street, we're looking to do a piece of sidewalk that's between Mill Lane and just there's a section that goes across a bridge and is in the kind of back from the road. We're actually going to pull that sidewalk neck closer to the road and improve it and get rid of the bridge. And Chestnut Street, we're looking at doing the walk from Chestnut Street all the way from East Pleasant to the middle school. Those are the big projects we have lined up. There's a couple of smaller ones that have to go out to bid. East Street, by in front of the old East Street School, there's some sidewalk and sewer and water work being done there. We're hopefully going to extend the sidewalk on North Pleasant Street where we took out the old sidewalk and we replaced it, so we'll continue that work. And then we have a piece of sidewalk on Kendrick Park, the last piece of sidewalk to go all the way around the park. Hopefully we'll get that either the end of this year, or beginning of next year. That's the
And
sidewalk work.
Can you tell us the status of that piece of sidewalk that's missing on Triangle Street, or that was missing?
That'll be put in when the guys, actually that piece has already been put back in, the piece by Kendrick Place.
No. Between Cottage Street, between Prey Street and Triangle Street on the south side.
Yes, that piece was replaced last year.
No, it wasn't there in September.
In September it might not have been there, but it was replaced if I remember correctly. We actually put it back in.
Okay, this fall. I've been sort of sick for a couple months.
Oh.
I haven't been out much. And I'm still sick. Okay. So I'm just gonna ask a question about the Chestnut Street sidewalk. I mean, I use that sidewalk. It's not that bad compared to a lot of other ones. What am I missing here?
It's near a school and it puddles and has some issues with ice in the winter, so that's what was kind of brought up.
Okay. Boy, there are so many that are worse than that. Like
Oh, yeah.
on High Street, that
Deep.
one is impassable. The one on High Street between the middle school and Taylor Street, if you use a wheelchair, you can't use that sidewalk.
Well, I think we
Um,
actually have more room on Chestnut Street to work too, so we do pick the easier ones, not the tighter
Well, it
ones.
is an easier one because it's not that bad.
There's more room to work.
Amity Street still stinks.
Where,
Right, going down toward Dana. Going way down. All cut up there.
on the south or the north?
Across the street from the, if this, the
There's
other
only a
side of
north
the,
side.
yeah. Oh, it's bad.
So there's no plans to do that?
No, we need more time to actually, we have to either apply for a waiver for that one, or we have to do more design work on it.
Wow. It's so, I could even send you pictures. It's incredible. Okay,
And what
Yeah,
about,
I mean, it's
what
pro-
about the piece that Jim has shown? Jim, can you explain where your, exactly where your pieces of sidewalk are? Because I haven't been on them.
Those are the ones over by the gas station, right? By the Cumberland Farms on
Wait,
College
Jim,
Street.
are you muted?
looks like he might be.
We don't hear you, Jim.
I think he's muted.
He's
Um,
muted and off screen. I think he has stepped away for the moment.
Okay.
But-
Well,
But
Yeah.
that's the one he was talking about last year, was the one by Cumberland Farms.
he was talking about ones on the, part of what he was talking about was on the northwest side of Southeast Street with College Street. That's part of what he was talking about, that it's very busted up, and there's no safe way for a person in a wheelchair to get off, to go around it on the street. I mean, that's Route 9. So I wanted him to talk specifically about where that is, because last we heard it had not been repaired the way you told us it would be. You had said in August that, or July, that at the end of the project you were doing over there last summer, that you would deal with that piece of sidewalk, which you said was
Yes.
pretty bad. And I don't know if you did, because I haven't
No.
been there.
The piece by the Cumberland Farms hasn't been done yet.
Isn't Cumberland Farms on the south side?
It's on the south. That was the last one that he was talking about, because we did the one in front of the tax place.
Yeah, I mean, if I can.
Yeah,
throw in my
we
two
asked you to
cents.
talk, but you weren't there.
Yeah. I mean, what I saw after the work was done last fall was that there was the stretch in front of the sidewalk in front of the tax place and the little Chinese place restaurant. That was done. There are still some problems, not huge, but there's still some problems with the sidewalk as you go up towards Dunkin' Donuts. And then on the south side of College Street, in front of Florence Bank and, the juice place and stuff, there are some big holes there. I mean, I realize that's not a thoroughfare, but at the same time, there's a curb cut. And so there's an obligation to make sure that that stretch of sidewalk is okay too.
Yeah, those haven't been touched yet, and they'll probably be sometime this year as we wrap up over there.
So you think there's still some possibility to use funds that you had for that project to do some of that work still? It's part of that intersection.
It's not funds from that project. Those project is pretty much spent. So
Okay.
it's just capital that's for sidewalks that's going to be used.
Okay, now can you tell us about, what we heard last month from Andy Steinberg is that they're starting from scratch with Southeast Street because what they had was not viable, which we all knew. So do you know any more about where we are with that?
Yes, first I'll correct you. We're not starting from scratch. We're putting together another proposed option. What was proposed is viable. It is a solution, and it's a decent solution, but people have brought up questions about possible other solutions, and that's what we'll be looking at going forward if the money is approved.
Okay, I think what he told us was that they had decided that they were not going to use it. And that they were looking for another solution.
That's not what I got out of the meeting. I got out of the meeting, we were making some more choices and seeing if we can get something a little different, or if we have to stay with what we designed. So,
Okay,
but I'm completely okay if that's what Andy said and that's what you want. When the other work's done, if everybody chooses that, that's fine too. I don't really have a horse in this one. I just work for Amherst.
okay, so they are redesigning as we speak. Is that what you're saying?
They're not.
They're
We
not.
need to have the funds approved by the capital process, and if the funds are approved, we'll start the redesign process, or we'll start the design of a second option.
Okay.
They're
all right.
doing absolutely nothing right now.
Okay,
So more than likely what's going to happen is the school's going to open and it's going to have the existing intersection.
okay. Oh, boy. Okay. All right, anyone have any questions for Guilford about any of the topics?
Yeah, I do actually. One of the things we talked about last year, and obviously the work has been completed, is the crosswalk, Belchertown Road for Colonial Village. And I'm not sure who's responsible for shoveling out the entrances to that crosswalk. or generally speaking, entrances to crosswalks. But I know the sidewalks are always plowed, and I assume it's the town that's doing that. But there's always a significant amount of snow in those entrances. If you want to measure the snowfall from the night before, you can go and stick your ruler into those those entrances. And so, you know, it's great if you're young and healthy, and you can walk through the snow and everything is fine. But if you're a little kid or a parent with a stroller or an elder, that really makes the crosswalk inaccessible there. And I suspect there are probably a few others around town that are like that, but I drive by
yeah.
that every day.
Almost everyone.
All right,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
And the bus stops, all ice all over them.
So,
They're horrible.
so the town bylaw is that the property owner adjacent is responsible. The town goes through once and will plow certain sidewalks. They don't plow all the sidewalks, they plow just a certain list of sidewalks. And then the town will maintain the ones that are in front of their properties. But it's up to the property owners to maintain the other ones. So if it's cleaned once and something gets pushed back into it or so forth, it goes back to that rule, which actually is not what the people of Amherst seem to want. And I keep saying it probably needs to be changed, but it's not going very far. And
So
I can,
when your people do the sidewalks, do they do the adjacent curb cuts? Make sure that they're clear all the way to the road?
they do some are not
Yeah.
done. Majority that they cross through and they have to actually go through to get to somewhere else are done. Some of the side ones and our cross block ones are not done. They're left for the property owner because we're just passing through.
Oy vey.
So who is the property owner for the curb cut that crosses Route 9 by Colonial Village?
Not sure. I could look it up, but I don't know who owns that property. I know it's not a town property. Although one side might be a town property now because the town just bought that land.
So can you look into whether or not your folks could clean a crosswalk at a place like that, which is a major crossing point that you just installed? And it was a good idea, and
So-
now you installed it, but people can't use it because it's not on the straightaway. You have to make a right or a left to use it. I mean, it
So
seems like it's not a big extra request.
So even if we clean it, if it gets filled back in, it still falls to the property owner to maintain it,
I'm
to keep it
not,
open.
Guilford, I'm not certain it's ever actually plowed out. But when the folks do the sidewalk clearing, it's not clear to me that they also clear out the entrances to the crosswalk there. I could be wrong, but that's not what I don't think that's what I've been seeing. I hear what you're saying as far as overall responsibility falls to the property owner, but I don't think there's an initial cleaning either.
I can check with that one. That one's the easy one to check, but I think they do. I
Okay.
think it's just more snow than you think it's pushed around afterwards. Even
Oh,
our
thank
guys,
you.
when they slush off, they put a big pile in.
Yeah.
I guess the next question is, who's the enforcer? They just
Yeah.
changed the rules and I don't remember. It's no longer the police, from what I recall.
No,
Isn't it
it's-
DPW?
No, it's parking and then inspections, I believe, but if Rob wanted to jump back on, but
Is Rob still here?
Yes, yeah, inspection services is responding to those complaints that, you know, generally we often can't even answer or see because we're not here during those hours, but the bylaw does name us to follow up on those. And when we can, we contact the property owners and ask them to better clear out the walkways in front of their their properties. It's only complaint response. We're not proactively out there looking for sidewalks that need to be cleaned up.
So either they do it or they don't.
So people need to make a complaint to inspection services?
Yeah, I mean, I think complaints, most of the complaints still go to Public Works and they forward them to us, but however they get to us, we, when we are next available, will contact the property owner in front of that location.
Elise does too, but Tracy had hers.
Oh, just unmuted. So
Okay, Elise,
All right, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but this is an accessibility issue.
And so you don't have to wait.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
wait, Sarah, you're not muted.
Wait, what?
Yes, I am here.
Okay,
Oh,
okay, all right, go ahead, Elise.
Sorry.
So I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but this is an accessibility issue. As long as we're on sidewalks, again, I'm gonna reiterate that I understand it's property owner that is responsible, but if nothing gets enforced, I had to climb over ice to get on the bus again. And I happen to do it every winter, and there are seniors that have to do it every winter, and children with stroke. It's shameful, it's ridiculous, and I'm gonna vent about it because something needs to be done.
Okay.
Thank you.
So have you made the report to DPW about the place, Elise?
No, I haven't done that
Okay,
yet.
so can you do that? Because it's an,
Yes.
yeah, I understand, but it's complaint driven. He just said they're not proactive. So
They
they
need
don't
to
know
be.
about it if you don't tell them.
Oh, for
And the complaints,
Sorry.
excuse me, sorry, the complaints can be made directly to inspection services. We prefer that, but I know historically they did go to Public Works. They eventually do get to us. But everyone's welcome
So
to
what's the
contact us
email
directly.
address?
What's
for
the email address?
inspection?
Because I will do it.
It's inspectionsma.gov. So you can write directly to us, any of us. You can pick any of the staff or the main email, or call the main number 259-3030 and
Sorry.
report the sidewalk that needs to be looked at.
I'm sorry, tell me again, it's inspections,
ma.gov.
inspections, M.
That's
MA
not
dot-
that's not an email address. That's a web address.
All right, can I have?
Do
the
we have
phone?
an email address?
This is
So
insane.
Myra, this is Pamela. I'm gonna interrupt just because I'm having computer issues.
Yeah,
Tracy is
All right,
hoping to be promoted to a panelist. Elise, I will send you the
Thank you.
contact information for inspections.
thank you.
And we still have Sam waiting.
okay,
Okay,
all right,
thank
thank
you.
you. All right, Tracy, welcome to our meeting.
Hold on. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep,
Oh, great. I just got unmuted. Well, there were a couple of issues that Guilford had brought up that I wanted to raise, but also on the snow issue. Like, I know that one of the intersections that's been really frustrating for me is the one at Amity and Lincoln, where we have the crosswalk that has the added rectangular rapid flashing beacons going on. And I had noticed that year after year that even though the sidewalk was clear there like the path from the main sidewalk to the curb cuts wasn't, and that there were some plows pushing up the snow onto the curb cuts to even make it worse. So I did reach out, to inspections and I had CC'd DPW, and what's really great to see is that it's finally addressed, and they did contact the people doing the plowing and ask them not to put the snow there.
okay,
So I felt, I mean, I don't know if I went, I think I thanked them, but I meant to thank them because now every time I'm at that intersection and when the plows have gone through, like the sidewalk plow has come through, that curb cut is clean. And
thank you.
it was
Guilford, for
it was
doing that.
just frustrating year after year. We put
Okay.
in this rectangular flashing beacon, and it wasn't. I also
you
reached
have other
out
topics?
recently.
Did you
I
have other
reached-
topics for Guilford?
I mean, I also reached out recently to inspections about the fact that on University Drive, that the sidewalk on the west side is never cleared. And it's just particularly like as we think about that there's going to be like the new housing on that side, like there are people who do walk on that side and it's never cleared. And additionally, that's a sidewalk that plows that are plowing some of the private parking lots there are shoving the snow.
Okay,
like
I'm going to
into the-
interrupt you,
Okay.
Tracy, in the interest of time.
All right, but I did
because-
have one, I did have one other
I'm just going to
comment.
say something about your topic. Pat, can you go to the town council and talk about the fact that whatever changes were made to this bylaw are not achieving the needed function, which is sidewalks are not getting cleared, curb cuts are not getting cleared. Make it clear to the community what they're supposed to do about that. And I think it's something for the council to take up, perhaps with fines, perhaps with something, because it, all of this, not my problem. If you don't catch me, I don't care. It's just not going to fly anymore. I mean, we have a lawless society and we have to have law somewhere. So that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Anyway, Tracy, we have other
Yeah,
stuff
I
to
had
do,
one
so
just
you
other quick
go on.
question just for Guilford, if he's still here. Is that like you had asked about the Triangle Street section, that section right near Kendrick Place, near Cottage. I walk that section very regularly and I still think that there's like a disconnect there where there's still like a concrete bollard and stuff in the way and there's like, it doesn't actually connect all the way through. There's like just that missing piece that you were referring to, whatever, 10, 15 feet. And I mean, I'm sure I've been there, in the last like month or last
Okay.
few weeks and it's still disconnected. So I know Guilford said it was fixed, but it's still an issue, I think.
I think there are two places. One's on the west side of North Pleasant and East Pleasant, and one's on the other side.
No, I'm
Um,
talking about the Triangle side. Like on
yeah.
the Triangle side, it's still not there.
I was talking about the part by Prey Street between
On the
opposite sides of
on the
Prey.
Triangle
Yeah,
side though, right? Yeah.
yeah.
And also the other concern I have at that intersection is that the rectangular flashing beacons are not that, the buttons are not that accessible. It's kind of weird how it's set up, but
Okay, I
Okay.
will look into it. One thing I will say, Guilford, thank you for, is the one on Triangle Street by, whatchamacallit, Leslie Street. That one is very accessible and it does make a huge difference in a very dangerous place. So thank you for putting that one in.
Right, and I'll go
Okay.
check the other one, because I'll go check the other sidewalk one, let you know.
Okay. All right. We're gonna have to cut this conversation, but I hope that you're hearing it, Pat, because I think it's a town council project, as well as everybody else's.
I
'Cause
did
there's
hear
not-
you and I made some notes and I will bring it
Okay.
up.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Sam, you like being called Sam, right?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, you can call
Hi.
me Sam.
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to
You're
say.
good.
Okay, so we each had I think we talked about you're checking out the links that didn't work and taking them out. That's the only thing I recall that came out of last month. And then we have other things we have to talk about. So I don't know what you want to start with.
Yeah, so I guess whichever way you guys want to do it, but basically I'm just helping update the web page. I've done so with the Human Rights Coalition as well as some of the other committees in town. And so Pamela asked about updating your page as well, just to make it more uniform with others. But I didn't want to make any changes without talking to you all. So I think the hope was for you all to have looked at the webpage as it currently stands, as well as some other local communities or communities across Massachusetts, and take a look at their websites, Disability Commission or Disability Access Advisory Board, and see kind of what you like about it and what changes we could make. Sorry. I have a rough outline, again, just to make it uniform with others, of just having a mission, which I think you all would need to establish what your mission, or maybe that exists somewhere, as well as, yeah, any other useful links or information that you would want on that page. So right now, some of the things that exist on it that we talked about at the last meeting I attended was the deaf and hard of hearing registration form, which is outdated, but there is discussion that maybe we, like me, Pamela, could work with the fire and police department on updating. There's stuff around the ADA 504 self-evaluation and transition plan. And then, yeah, that long page of all the different links and figuring out which links that you guys would like to remain on the page of the ones that still work. And really just making the page what you want so that it's something that if you have or engage with community members who have questions about things related to accessibility in town, you can point them to this webpage and it will have all the information that you want for them to have access to, as well as information about the commission.
Okay. Does anybody have any ideas, comments, thoughts about the website?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
I know that Elise and I had done our assignment last time as far as looking at, the links and found them sorely wanting. Prior to this meeting, I checked out the websites for Northampton and Cambridge and Braintree. And what is interesting in comparison to Northampton page is how limited and clean they are.
Yep.
Very, very sharply focused. I liked the Braintree one because it encouraged people to, if they had problems or if they had ideas about improving access, to contact the commission there. But so I think it's vital, as Sam has suggested, that we take a look at what other municipalities are doing, because I think it would really help us clean up our page, because right now there's just an awful lot of information, and when you get to the links, it's just impossible.
Anybody else?
I have to agree with Jim. They're all overloaded.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a three-peat on that one. There's a lot of stuff there that's irrelevant.
Yep.
There needs to be basic stuff, and I started making a list. I do think we need the Town of Amherst ADA policy for sure. And I think a link to the ADA is probably a really good idea. But, more than that, I think we need to create some informational links that we would create, like, what about accessible transportation? What about accessible housing? What about, I made a list of a few of those things. If you're deaf or hard of hearing, good idea to have that form on there. What about if you have a disability in an emergency? When we talked about letting the fire department know and getting the little box to put on your door so that they could get into your house and stuff like that, remember? And we talked about what do you do in an emergency and who do you call? Those things, I think the local things that we could create ourselves are the important things that have to do with living in this town. We don't need things that have to do with federal, housing and urban development stuff. I mean, we just don't need that. But that's what I think. So I started a list of things that I thought we could do, and I could write them up as, I don't know if we want to write them up as questions or if we want to write them up as just, accessible transportation, contact the PVTA for paratransit services, get your application at this address, like that. I don't know what people think of things like that. But I thought that just simple, plain and simple, these are the things that we're trying to tell you about living in the town of Amherst.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I think what we should do is everybody, if you have ideas now, that's fine, but if you come up with anything like in the next week, send me an email that says, I thought of something for the website or for the website, you know, and give me the background information that you know, and, or what you think we ought to look into that we should put on the website. Because it's coming close to what Jim said about Braintree. And you know, what's the complaint process for sure, but what do I do if the snow isn't shoveled, right? I mean, we just had that conversation, right? What do I do if, right? So I think those are the things that would be useful in the community. That we can't deal with the whole United States of America. Putting the ADA on there is a good idea. But other than that, you know, the link to the ADA. But I don't see anything else other than the town, and the mission statement for the COD and the, you know, and what we're supposed to be all about. And you know, we mostly took it right out of the charge for from the instructions from the state that came out of 22C. 22, I don't even remember anymore, GH. Anyway, that.
Hi, Myra, this is Pamela. I'm gonna offer a suggestion. I love your idea. I'm wondering if you would authorize Sam and I to work on the page. It is probably easier for us to present something to the group once we have a draft page, which we could share, and we could incorporate the topics that you've listed.
All right, I can send you my topics, and anyone else can can people send it within a week to Pamela if you have any ideas? And even if they repeat some of what I suggested, I mean, we have a lot of good minds here. And so if we could just send, this is what we want our page to have on it. That would be good. Now, there are some accessibility issues I want to bring up. Sam, I tried to get the newsletter from the Council on Aging in my email. I mean, from the senior center, whatever it is. And it said I had to create an account. So I don't know why you have to, but I did try to create an account. And then I couldn't figure out where to go to get the newsletter anyway. That is a real mess. This website is an accessibility nightmare in some ways because it's very hard to find what you're looking for. There's a lot of stuff on it that doesn't mean anything. And like, I would be happy to come in with my computer sometime and show you what I hear, because you can look all you want at testing software, which is often inaccurate about what people actually hear with screen readers. So you may not know what I hear and how I have to, you know, navigate, but this is not an easy website at all.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And we're hearing issues about accessibility, about just, different functions of the website being challenging. And so it's kind of an ongoing conversation of somehow revamping it or like looking at a different provider. So I'd honestly love to have you come in sometime and actually sit down and see what it looks like, because me trying to help other departments create their web pages, we have to like do things around making it more accessible, and it's helpful to hear like your actual perspective versus just like what you're saying, what softwares are saying works or is easier. So it would be great to get your perspective on it.
So I'm sure the town doesn't have the money to rebuild the website from scratch, which is the way it has to really be done in order to conform to WCAG. But isn't that the WCAG? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
WCAG 2.0 or whatever they're up to now. But there are, there's a lot of stuff. So, okay, within a week, if people can send Pamela their ideas for what needs to be question and answer on the website, on our page. Okay. And you know, if you, it could have to do with the snow. It could have to do with, you know, if you're, if you need emergency services, if you're deaf, or if you need, whatever, and they can turn it into questions and answers, or just links that go to the answer. Now, when you go to a link on a web page, you have to be able to get back out of the link to the web page, and that doesn't always work on this website. Sometimes you have to shut it down to go back because it's screen reader issues. I don't know if that's for people who are sighted as well, but sometimes you can't go back. Sometimes you can't. So anyway, the website needs a lot of accessibility work in general. But I'll talk to Sam about, Elise, I don't know if you need to talk to Sam as well about all of those accessibility, there's that whole menu of accessibility features for vision. I don't know if you use them, and I don't know if they work.
Not really. I mean, I have not gone on website very much just because it's just been too intimidating. But if things get fixed the way you're suggesting, then I would probably use it more.
Okay. If you would be willing to look at whether any of those accessibility features, I mean, you can open this, every page has a disclaimer about you may need a special key. I don't even know what that's about.
Oy vey.
I have no idea what that means. That's not on anybody else's website. I don't know what that is. Do you, Sam?
No, and so that would be a question with our provider that does the website. Because they are at they're the main website provider for municipalities across the country. But again, there's not a good way for me to see what the experience is like for folks who are using screen readers. And so it would be helpful to get all of that information from you. Then I can talk with our contacts at the company to really figure out the details of what we can do, what we can change to make the experience better.
All right.
I've
I'll make
never-
an appointment to come in.
I
and
don't
see you.
use a screen reader. I don't quite know what you're talking about. So
No, you use the the vision accessibility stuff, but on the page, there's this place where you can get all these different vision accessibility changes, change contrast, change color, change this, change that. I don't know how I ended up in it. But it's all
I have
there, but I don't know if you can find it.
I
don't
have to
know
look
how I
for
got
it. I've never seen it, so I'll take a look. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
it'll
know.
button
I can't tell you how I found it.
I'll
Yeah.
look for it.
Just so you all know, it's a little button on usually the bottom right of the screen that's like a blue circle with a person in it that you click and
Okay.
yeah, it has a bunch of different options. So definitely feel free to check that out as a feature
Okay.
too.
Yes, thanks. I will.
But I
Yeah.
look forward to hearing all of your ideas and working with Pamela on drafting what the web page can consist of and seeing what other departments might have resources that we can include on here as well to make it really focused on Amherst and accessibility in Amherst. And yeah, look forward to hearing that and then talking with you, Myra,
Okay,
at
I'll
another
make an
point.
appointment.
Perfect.
You work 5 days a week?
Yep, yeah, I'm in person.
Okay, okay. All right, so this is good. So the homework this week is to write to Pamela about ideas. Okay, thank you, Sam, for coming to the meeting.
Thank
And
you.
I think we can finally start to get somewhere because we have not been the best committee to work with. I'm sorry. Anyway, okay. I did something when I looked at Cambridge and Medfield. They call their group the Commission for People with Disabilities. And that sounded much more human to me than Commission on Disability. So let me check my email for 1 second. I want to see if Paul Bockelman wrote back to me. Hold on. You're going to hear my computer because my earphones don't work right now. Oh, nope, you're not going to hear anything. Oh, wait a minute.
Full speech.
Okay, hold on.
Launch meeting. Reminder call inbox dash mirrors Comcast. Unread. Johnny Beauty. Unread. The Washington. Unread. David Goldfield. Unread. Kamala. Unread. We walked. Unread. Brian Sharp. Unread. David Gold. Unread. ACL. Forwarded. The Washington.
Nope. Okay, so I wrote to Paul Bockelman this morning to ask him if it was too late to change our name, if we wanted to, and he didn't write back. I don't know if, I mean, this is sort of semantic, but Commission on Disability or Commission for People with Disabilities sounds, you know, I mean, I don't like ever hearing about the blind or the deaf or the, you know, I mean, we're people. So that's my little shtick. And I don't know if anybody cares, but I thought I'd bring it up.
I can get behind that. Yeah,
Anybody else awake?
I kind of like that, actually, if it's not too long a title.
Several of the towns have it named that way. Cambridge does.
Yeah.
If possible, I do like that.
Cool. Okay.
Only concern is it too late?
Yeah, it might be. And Pat, did you vote on this yet?
Muted?
No, we haven't voted on this yet. And I think that this, even if we had this, this could be a simple change to change the title, the name of the commission to the Commission for People with Disabilities. And that is what you would like, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, Jim? What do you think, Saren? What do you think? I guess we got everybody. Ian's not there. Okay.
I think that's a good change. I think that's a good change.
Okay. I mean, I have to say I didn't invent it, but I noticed it and I thought, oh, that's very good. I like that. I like being a person.
Yeah, really.
It's not too much to ask, really. Okay, so we need a motion if people want to change our name or our name suggestion, because then we can write it to Paul.
Motion.
You making that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cody has moved.
I'll second.
Excuse me. No, Lisa seconded that we ask for a different name. Okay, all in nobody is
Can
opposed.
we
Everybody's
specify
in.
the name?
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, we'll end up with Gary or something like that. You know?
Get it together, folks.
Amherst Commission for People with Disabilities, and CPD, I think, is the acronym that they use instead of COD, which that used to mean cash on delivery. So CPD sounds better. Well, it did used to mean that.
That's true.
Excuse me while I choke to death. Okay, so everybody in favor of the change to the Commission for People with Disabilities?
Aye.
I
Wow.
heard 2.
Aye.
3. Saren, I hear nothing. Is Saren there?
She's
He
muted.
was.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted and all the time I'm speaking.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, do you have something to say about it?
No, I think it's a good suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, suggestion.
Okay, so you're voting for it?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think anyone's left, so everybody is in favor. This is cool. All right, there's one more thing we have to talk about, which is the state legislature has to vote on whether to reauthorize meetings that aren't in person, remote meetings, I'm sorry. Whether to reauthorize remote meetings for municipal agencies and municipal boards. And the existing legislation ends on March 30th.
Mm.
So I don't know, Pat, if the town has taken a stand on this yet.
Trying to unmute, sorry. I have sun glare. We have, and it's been supported by council letter and.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
yeah.
Great. That's all I wanted to know. Because it's real important that we
Yep.
remain able to have remote meetings. Okay. All right. Do we have any public comment? Oh, no, we didn't do the minutes. We have to do the January minutes. Has everybody read them?
Yeah.
Well, okay, if you haven't, don't admit it. I read them, which I don't always. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for January?
I so move.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Aye.
Okay, so we have Elise or Cody. All right, does anybody have any corrections or additions to the minutes? Was that a yes?
No, it was, I said I don't have any, sorry.
Oh, okay, I'm
No.
sorry. Okay, okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
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 Aye, okay. That doesn't count typos and stuff, but typos are okay. We're just not gonna go through them that, right? But anyway, did you use software to create those?
So the minutes were typed by the senior tax volunteer. And she did sort of look at both reviewing the audio of the meeting and the transcript from the meeting through Zoom. So,
Wow,
yeah.
it's
Uh,
pretty good, actually, but it sounded like a lot of work.
It is quite a bit of work. We have gotten some directives from Angela about the minutes to make sure that they're in the appropriate format. The ones that we have are fine, and the website is completely up to date. I will share with our tax volunteer for future minutes the format that Angela would like to see them in, but we're good for now, and we're completely up to date, which is the most important thing, so.
Fabulous, because we weren't for a while. So
Right.
great. Thank you for all the work you must have had to do on that. I appreciate it.
Samantha Jiffin has left the meeting.
Okay. Do we have any other topics to come up for new business?
I move to adjourn.
Okay, wait, do we have anybody from the community there?
Great. Tracy Zappian, I think, is there.
Tracy, are you still there?
She's muted if she is.
You can,
Tracy?
He can't speak unless we permit.
No.
Yeah, so I would say, Tracy, if you want to have an additional comment, can you raise your hand and we will promote you to a panelist?
Oh, I thought we did that already. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
We did, but then after the conclusion of her comments, she was removed from the panelists.
got it, okay.
Yeah.
She might not be there anymore.
No, she's still on the computer, but she's not raising her hand, so I think we can assume that she's made all of the comments that she wanted to make, and there's no
Okay.
one else in the public.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, everybody. Don't forget your homework about writing to Pamela about what we want on the website. We might actually get somewhere this time. So, thank you for all your work. Next meeting is March 11. Same time, same place, and we might be a commission by then, who knows? We might not even exist. Okay. All right, thank you. A motion to adjourn was already made by Jim.
Yeah.
We need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all not in favor of adjourning, say aye. Okay, silence
Aye.
is deafening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Philip Avila has left the meeting. Alt F4 for website dash message left. Paren plain text right paren. Microsoft Outlook dialog. We saved a draft of this message for you. Escape for website dash message left. Task switching. Zoom webinar.